Body language. Get better at job interviews, flirting, and nonverbal communication. Written by John Adamson. Narrated by Rory Young. Chapter 1. The Basics of Nonverbal Communication or Body Language. Nonverbal communication has always fascinated humans. We have always wanted to comprehend the message behind the words. We have always wanted to know what people truly mean by a glance, a blush, or a gesture. Now we have realized not only that we can use body language to interpret other people's actions, but that we can also use it to give ourselves increased effectiveness in life. Now body language can actually help us prosper in life, as well as at the work floor and in our love lives. Humans have probably always understood intuitively that our nonverbal communication is just as crucial as our verbal communication. How many of us were told when young to stand straight, since our caretakers realized that would make us look more smart, appealing, or impressive? Now research has shown that if we alter the way we present ourselves to the world with friends, at work, and in love, we stand a much greater chance of success. Chapter 2. The Psychology of It. The studying of body language, the art of nonverbal communication, is potentially the most exciting and helpful development in personal psychology today. It adds an entire new dimension to what you can comprehend about people and an entire new set of possibilities regarding what you can achieve in the world. Human beings use many different channels of communication. Yet, in spite of thousands of years of human development, we have concerned only the verbal channels as essential, what we say and what we write. It's only throughout the last 40 years or so that we've realized that there's an entire channel, nonverbal communication, that is just as essential as words, because it gives us just as much, if not more, info about what people are thinking and feeling. Some estimates indicate that up to 93% of the information we receive about any situation comes non-verbally rather than verbally. So, when you chat with a friend, ask your boss for a raise, or set out to seduce, what you do might be up to 13 times as information-packed as what you say. Mind reading. Body language not only gives you additional info about other individuals and about yourself. It also gives you different info while people's words tell you only what they consciously want you to know. Their body language tells you an entire range of other things, much of which they might not know they're revealing, or even understand themselves. Many people's standard personality, the role they're playing, the feelings they feel, the direction of their ideas, their relationships with others, not to mention what they truly think of you, body language communicates everything. And while individuals' words can hide a wide range of secrets, their nonverbal communication is far more difficult to fake. Similarly, obviously, your own nonverbal communication will, whether you like it or not, transmit info about yourself to others. And studies have revealed that what you say nonverbally is often much more influential than what you say verbally, not only as it bypasses the mindful mind of a listener and speaks directly to her or his subconscious, but also because people quite appropriately trust nonverbal messages more than they trust words. The bad news is that your nonverbal communication is making statements about you all of the time, and some of these may be things you are trying to hide. The good thing is that properly and genuinely used, body language can specify what you couldn't potentially say out loud, in a way that really reaches other people. I'm competent. I really need your support. I like you. I really love you. Nonverbal communication isn't just about communication, though. What psychologists have realized over the past decade is that if you change your body language, you can actually change all kinds of things about your technique to life. You can, for instance, alter your mood before going to a celebration, produce a better feeling towards your partner, or feel more confident at work. And obviously, if your nonverbal communication truly moves, and you communicate in a different way with people around you, then they in turn will respond differently to you, so that the way you predict yourself to others will be shown back to you in a neat circular process. Words of warning. Since nonverbal communication is such a powerful tool, you really need to make sure when using it. So before you begin, a few words of care. First, it is a myth that nonverbal communication enables you to read a person like a book. This theory, which was an attempt to alphabetize nonverbal communication by specifying a single gesture as having a single meaning, was originally stylish in the 60s. If people scratched their noses, that meant they were lying. It did not matter whether they were scratching as their nose itched, since they were nervous or as nose scratching was an essential routine in their subculture, they were still seen as lying. Nowadays, we know it's just not that simple. Nonverbal communication aspects differ in meaning and can be understood only in the setting of an individual's life situation. Second, using nonverbal communication effectively isn't about neglecting the words. Though we humans are apes, and a lot of the body language series we use come straight from those developed by apes, we're nonetheless talking apes. For that reason, much of this book is about using nonverbal communication along with the words, to stress them, to elaborate on them, to control them, and even to oppose them. In order to be a very real body language expert, use your nonverbal abilities in addition to, not instead of, your verbal ones. Lastly, don't think that you can use body language to get others to do for you what you really want. People aren't that stupid. If you try applying nonverbal methods in order to manipulate a person into liking you, then obviously they're going to react to what you do. But they're going to also respond far more highly to those of your actions that reveal your manipulation. They will register, typically automatically, your incorrect smile, your moving eyes, your nervous stutter, and will act accordingly. So if you are expecting to be able to rule the whole world through nonverbal communication, you are going to be disappointed. Practice definitely makes perfect. How can you really use body language? The primary step is to develop your powers of observation, gathering as much knowledge as possible when you engage with others. Watching is the most apparent way and probably the channel through which you are going to gain most information. Listen, too, not so much to people's real words, but to the way those words are said, the way voices sound as people speak. Your other three senses, touch, odor, and taste, can also tell you an unexpected amount. The warmth and wetness of a colleague's handshake can give you important clues as to how confident he is about the meeting. A friend's body odor will actually move if she becomes terrified during a horror movie. A lover's taste will change as he ends up being excited. As you be more expert, you will be able to notice not only the more obvious macro clues, such as individuals' gestures or facial expressions. You will also have the ability to find the far more subtle and much more remarkable micro clues. So, although in the beginning you could find only the macro clue of someone's mad clenched fist, in time you will register the micro clue of their skin color change when they just start feeling inflamed. With practice, your proficiency of micro clues will let you understand, and even forecast, just how those around you are thinking and feeling, and so be one step ahead all of the time. Focus on your own nonverbal communication too. You yourself are a major source of information. Display your external signs, seeing how, as you respond to what's going on, your body position changes, your movements adapt, your voice alters, your breathing shifts. Screen, too, the internal signals that only you are well aware of, the butterflies in your stomach that tell you you're excited, the stress headache that informs you to tension, the internal picture of your lover's face when you think of him, the internal sound of a friend's voice when you imagine talking to her. These are vital signs of what your body is telling you. Chapter 3. Finding the Clues. To know just what to keep an eye out for, you really need a body language vocabulary. The following are the necessary aspects of this, the ones on which this book is based. Looks. Look at an individual's height, their natural skin, hair, and eye color, their body shape. Within the limitations of plastic surgery and the camouflage of clothes, all these things can tell you precisely what an individual's sex is, their age, racial background, and culture. Style and image. Notice outfits, hairstyle, makeup, accessories. Those typically show you momentary things like age, the style subculture with which a person recognizes, their status in society, what sort of job they have, and their leisure interests. Posture. Notice particularly the way somebody stands, how they organize their body, the angle at which they hold their body and head, and the direction in which their arms and legs are pointing. These components can not only give clues to long-term things such as upbringing and age, but can also expose passing ideas and feelings, particularly interest, respect, and approval. Gesture and movement. These are especially crucial when used with words, highlighting and adding psychological markers to speech, rather like the punctuation marks that can give extra meaning to written words. Each person could well also have a tailored set of gestures he or she frequently uses. Look particularly at upper body and limb movements, gestures of hands and feet, and head nods and shakes. Facial expression. Long-term facial lines built up gradually tell us about personality. Notice the try-hard wrinkles between an individual's eyebrows, or the tiny inward mouth lines that signify a withholding character. Also essential are short-lived facial expressions like frowns, which show you how an individual thinks, feels, and relates moment to moment. Eye motion. We give and receive more info from the eyes than from any other part of the body. They're specifically crucial for demonstrating moods and relationships between individuals. Couples or lovers look, rivals stare, while liars often avoid eye contact. Pay attention to the look direction, eye shape, pupil size, length of gaze, and what the eyebrows do. Voice. Words aren't part of nonverbal communication, but the voice that speaks them is. Voice gives a wealth of information about fundamental background, culture, class, age, sex, birthplace, color, race. Some research studies even suggest that you can tell an individual's height from their voice. Variations in volume, pitch, and rhythm also show how we feel and whether something is important to us. Smell and taste. Every person has an individual smell and taste signature that builds up in the mouth and in body hair. It can indicate an individual's general health, food choices, and emotions of anger, fear, or sexual arousal. Smell and taste are also essential in creating a bond between people. Environment. Body language is about more than just what people do. It's also about the nonverbal declarations they make when they create their environment. Architecture, room size, furniture style, light and temperature level choices, personal privacy needs, in the house and at work, can all tell you what's important to somebody, their basic character, and how they associate with others. Touch. Touch, or the lack of it, shows how close people are and typically shows that strong emotion is being shared. Touch is also used in conversation to emphasize a point, and in power relationships to show control and supremacy. Physical functions. The body's physical functions, such as blood pressure, skin color, breathing patterns, heart rate, sweat levels, skin temperature level, and body fluids, show what a person is feeling. They are instant signals both of physical feeling and of psychological response. Internal body signs. The messages you give from inside are just as much a function of nonverbal communication as those it manifests on the outside. Understand any internal images or sounds that you experience when you think of a person or something. Know where any internal sensation is and what it feels like, moving or still, heavy or light, warm or cold, relaxed or tense. Translating the message. Once you've learned to observe closely and precisely, then you can begin to work out the meaning of what you are seeing. This isn't as simple as it might seem. As has been mentioned previously, one single aspect of nonverbal communication might not always have just one specific meaning, but some different ones, depending on the particular setting and situation. First, think about a person's background when analyzing what they do. Chapter 4. Roots in Our Culture. Everyone's nonverbal communication has its roots in their culture and upbringing. We learn the vast bulk of our nonverbal skills when we're kids from the adults around us. Obviously, there are general signals that everyone uses, so most nonverbal communication you see will fit the descriptions in this book. Though these descriptions are based primarily on Western research, and so won't always actually apply to people from simply African, Asian, or Middle Eastern cultures. Similarly, a person's nonverbal communication will always be customized. Your buddy's irritated blink may, for instance, be your colleague's sign of anxiety. So if you analyze your coworker's nonverbal communication as implying the same as that of your friend, you'll spend a good deal of time just wondering why she's irritated with you and attempting needlessly to calm her down. Watch people's patterns over time to get what nonverbal professionals call standard conduct, which is their normal way of acting. Also, when you observe a single aspect of body language, have a look at completely what else is happening in the circumstance in which you see it. What can you distinguish the person's whole body to acquire a complete image of what's going on? What are their other body signals saying? Do they validate your analysis or contradict it? How are other people reacting to what is going on? Do they see things in a different way from the way you do? What took place prior to and just after what you have seen that will help put it in context and give it more meaning? You should also watch out for brief set sequences of body language signals that always occur together. For instance, when a person is shocked by an unexpected sound, laughs to launch the tension, then unwinds with a sigh. By being able to read not only the single cues, the words of body language, but also these sequences or sentences, you'll have the ability to understand even more about what is going on. When such a series has developed and become elegant in human social interaction, like the complex nonverbal ritual we go through when we bid farewell to a person, it often has a much different meaning from a spontaneous series, so be prepared to analyze it in a different way. You'll also, with practice, be able to identify broad patterns in an individual's body language, where several components combine to tell you something more general than just how they're feeling at this exact moment. Clusters of signals in the way a person stands, looks, and talks can show you what sort of person they are, or what their attitude to a particular element of life is. Doing something about it. The moment you have observed and analyzed either your own or somebody else's body language, then you can act. You can use nonverbal communication to get more of what you want to succeed in what you do, to produce closer bonds with others, to help or support friends or lovers, and to improve your self-confidence. When doing something about it, you have 3 choices. Remarkably, the first and usually the best choice is simply to let your own nonverbal communication impulses take over. For everybody communicates nonverbally all the time as a natural, unconscious part of their lives. If a close friend is crying and you feel sad for her, then you are going to immediately lean forward, and your eyes will spontaneously acquire a gleam of wetness that signifies your empathy. You do not need consciously to choose to do this. Your body will naturally and effectively mirror your feelings. So, in tons of situations, trusting your impulses is the best option. Your second option in any circumstance is to talk. As already pointed out, speaking is in some cases the best way to check out a problem, share experiences, or offer comfort. Just remember, though, that when you speak, you're going to also be communicating nonverbally. This book won't only help you tell when words are most proper, but guide you towards using really efficient nonverbal communication to underline and support those words. Your last option comes into play when you decide to use some component of nonverbal communication intentionally, or to deliberately change what you would naturally do. It could be that you feel considerate to a friend, but do not know the best nonverbal way to show that. Or it could be that your natural expressions of compassion aren't working, and you really need more options. If that's the case, then this book will help by describing what produces success in nonverbal communication, and by suggesting ways you can accomplish that success for yourself. The real work is, of course, up to you. You need to gather information about body language, to start analyzing that info, to practice until you can use nonverbal communication easily, and it has the impact you really want. Even if you attain all this, body language might not be the answer to all your problems, but it will help you maximize what you think, what you feel, what you do, and, perhaps most essential of all, who you are. Chapter 5. The windows to the soul are the eyes. These are some things to keep in mind when thinking of making eye contact. 1. Eye-to-eye contact causes arousal. Staring directly into someone's eyes triggers an arousal response. How that stimulation is translated, though, depends on the parties included and the circumstances. Being looked at by a complete stranger who appears big or ominous can be viewed as a risk and elicit a worry reaction. That is quite common in social animals. A direct gaze from a human to a dog or an ape can be translated as a risk from the big and strange human. Having said that, the look of a possible sexual partner triggers stimulation that can be interpreted favorably as a sexual invite. 2. The eyes will let you know if a smile is real or not. Psychologist Paul Ekman has distinguished between smiles that represent authentic joy, Duchenne smiles, and fake smiles that could be used to feign happiness or cover some other feeling. The key to telling a fake smile from a very real one is in the eyes. When forming real smiles, the eyes narrow and create lines, or crow's feet, at the external corners. 3. Pupil dilation is a sign of interest, and it can make you hot. When we are interested in something or someone, our pupils will dilate. In one research study, Lady's eyes were altered to make her pupils look dilated. The precise very same images of the woman with dilated eyes were ranked as more attractive than those with normal-sized pupils. 4. Mutual gaze signifies love. Research on love and attraction has found that shared look staring into one another's eyes is a very good predictor of two individuals remaining in love. 5. Eye contact is a valid cue to deception, but not in the way that you think. Everyone presumes that a phony won't look you in the eye, but research on the nonverbal hints connected with deception suggests that a liar takes part in more eye contact than a truth-teller. The explanation is that the deceiver goes the extra mile to try to convince you of his or her accuracy, and so overdose the eye contact so as to appear sincere. Chapter 6. Body Language in Meetings. If you're in charge of a meeting, you should figure out if the attendees have an interest in what you are saying, or if they agree with your ideas. Early detection of monotony or difference matters in order for you to change your discussion, tone, or animation to a different proposition when necessary. If you see many attendees reclining back in their chairs or simply looking blankly without blinking an eye, it usually means they're not interested in the topic being talked about. They aren't paying as much attention as they could, so maybe something needs to get that attention and make it more entertaining. Do not lengthen the conversation or do something that will keep the monotony. When the attendees nod constantly, it means they are agreeing with what you are saying. This is a good indication, unless they're just faking it naturally, but that rarely happens. When an attendee breathes deeply, it probably means that he wants to interrupt the conversation and reveal his perspective. So many presenters neglect this and just keep going, with their one-track mind approach, but research has revealed that most people learn more from opening and making comments. Observe also other body gestures, such as changing the modulation of the voice, frowning, looking down at the ground, drumming fingers in the table, leaving the meeting room. You should discover the emotions and mindset of each guest and bear in mind how this can impact the reaction of the other guests. If the subject being talked about becomes too hot to handle, it could be preferable to reschedule the meeting at some other time. Some emotional people show great facial expressions and body gestures. Recognizing those early in the meeting can stop undesirable emotional outbreak to happen. Chapter 7. What Real Flirting Consists of. In the last few centuries, courtship between men and women has been studied extensively, and the basic conclusions are that these signals are totally unconscious. The more you consciously understand the signals, the more successful you'll be when dating and reaching your goal, whether it is the man or woman of your dreams. This has always been true. To master the art of successful flirting, you have to have some degree of self-confidence. You need to be yourself, otherwise you'll look deceitful or desperate. People detect these things pretty quickly. Flirting can be used in just about anything, not just in attracting the opposite sex, but also in attaining practically anything you want in your life, like using sexual attraction to get something done. And this doesn't mean walking around half-naked or raunchy moves, but just flirtatious ways of talking or moving can at times quickly make a person give in and give you a deal, a present, or enable you to do something they did not in the beginning. That can be described as good flirting. Good flirting should be done with a precise comprehension of what you actually want, combined with positive sensations. I have talked to some successful males and females in the field of multi-level marketing and marketing in their 30s and 40s. I'll give you some of their suggestions on how you can put good flirting to your advantage. 1. Don't stress way too much about whether you are making a good impression or not. Instead, analyze how you can make the other person feel good about themselves. Boost their ego, smile, and compliment them a lot, without making it look fake. By doing this, you are going to get the feedback you are expecting. Quickly, you're going to make the connection. 2. Flirting can help you make good friends or impress a client if you cause yourself to be friendly. Smiling can make you appear friendly, but not just through your mouth. Smile through your eyes. 3. Remember that you cannot attract people just by sitting or standing like a huge stick in the mud. There will be cases when you will come across a person who gets a bit too close for comfort feel, or a person who makes you feel you are already attacking their personal privacy. Whatever you do, you would get a so-called vacuum reaction. You may have the ability to avoid this by using gentle moves and by calibrating the person's reactions to you. Know these signals. Mouths get bigger, the lips swell, eyes broaden, pupils dilate, skin flushes and changes color, muscles around the mouth move, among others. 4. You should always be consistent but not aggressive. Flirting works best when you are patient. By being such, you are going to have room for improvement if initially you are not accomplishing the preferred results. If you fail in the beginning, do it again the second time, third time, and just keep trying. Try different approaches until you understand what will work best for you. If you get rejected, don't forfeit. That opts for the phrases, "to err is human," and "no one's perfect." 5. Practice in the mirror, only then can you make it perfect. This is a suggestion I got from a person. This is even more true in meeting friends and potential customers, as flirting may be included undesired actions and attention which can put you in a bad light. You might be spontaneous in your actions, but you cannot safeguard yourself if you're already overdoing it, and I presume you do not want to be in that situation. Try practicing with your buddies and ask for feedback. 6. Always make the first move. Opportunities knock only once, so if you want something or even a person, Go all out now. Let go of your inhibitions, but remember to apply positive flirting strategies. Let your body draw in. Do you comprehend why some appear to have a much easier time attracting the opposite sex? Here's what you can do to stand out of your potential honey. 1. Smile a lot, even if you have issues in the back of your mind. People do not have to know unless they inquire about them. This isn't fake, it just means you try to help them have a good time by not being a grouch. 2. Be funny. Learn to laugh at petty matters. People really love to be with those who can turn any circumstance into a funny setting. And it's not practically making smarty remarks, but also about laughing at other people's jokes. A gentle hit on the shoulders is an advantage if you're a lady. 3. Maintain eye contact, but not to the extent that it gets scary. Your eyes will probably be the most expressive parts of your body. Eye contact also develops a bond between two people. They would naturally feel more comfortable in each other's company. 4. Nod your head. By nodding, you signify your approval and you encourage the other party to continue talking. It shows you're listening and concurring. You give peace of mind that your loved one is doing okay. 5. Be open physically. Do not cross your arms across the chest or hold obstructive objects, such as a food, between the two of you. Put your hands on your sides, and if possible, put your palms up to communicate openness. Knowing if the other person is interested. Sometimes we have to read the signs better to understand if that special a person we've been eyeballing for a while is also intrigued by us. Here is how to find out if woman is attracted to you. If she looks down and away, she's interested, since she's flirtatiously being shy in a typical womanly way. Most women flirt in a submissive, giving up way, and they want a man to win their hearts. If she wants to the left or right, she is not interested, but looking at something else. But how can you see a person being attracted to you just by observing body signs? A girl, for example, is flirting if she shows the following body language. 1. Her lips show it. She wears a big smile with her teeth exposed and with a relaxed face. She bites her lips or shows her tongue out of anxiety, or she licks her lips and touches the front of her teeth. Feeling attracted to someone normally includes a certain uneasiness, because people are extremely concerned about what the other person considers them. 2. Her eyes show it too. She looks at you with a deep look and her pupils are dilated. She may raise her eyebrows flirtatiously and gives you a wink from a distance, or when she's talking with you. And of course, the most typical one, she blinks her eyes more than average and shows you those fluttering eyelashes. 3. She could stroke her hair. This too is a certain kind of submissiveness and at the same time a stress and anxiety tick, depending on the girl. She might push her fingers through her hair, twirl it around her fingers, or throw her hair withdraw her shoulders. 4. She may show more skin on her clothing. The hem of her skirt goes up a little further, revealing her legs, or she shows her legs, cleavage, or shoulders on purpose. These things can be extremely subtle, but most girls know precisely what they're doing. 5. You can observe the way she sits. She sits with an open leg or crosses her legs in a way where her thighs can be seen, or her legs are rubbing against one another in a certain way. 6. Her hands show how she feels also. She could rub her wrists up and down in a suggestive manner. She rubs her chin or touches her cheek, and maybe, in a strong way, may even automatically touch her busts. She has fun with things on the table, fondles keys, or rubs a drinking glass in a flirting manner. Guys are a lot easier and more direct. How does a man show his interest in lady? It's much easy. Maintaining eye contact, smiling regularly, and exhibiting self-confidence through his actions are the main ways. He might gaze at her, open his legs, or have a certain I don't care attitude while still showing off or bragging a little. The touch. A basic touch to someone else's body can have 100 different meanings. It depends on how you perceive the power of touch in body language. Everybody has the standard need to be touched. All of us must be touched and have at least a little physical contact with other individuals to endure. As we grow, we continue to follow that need of touching and being touched. Touch can convey respect and trust. It is a way to separate power between people. It communicates the message of how we look at one another from a mental perspective naturally. Touching as an element of body language that can be a powerful tool if done with skill, with precision, and with precision. It would work for you to learn the art of touching to send the right signals to the other person. Timing makes a big difference, as some people will react negatively if you touch them too quick or way too much. It has to be done at the right time and in a suitable way, or the outcome wouldn't be one that you would expect. Be aware to the situations and the mood in which you and your potential partner find yourself. You can see the appropriateness of your touch and your ability to get used to the circumstance by how your receiver responds to it. If the person appears to lean or get closer to you, you have made the right move. But if the person appears to withdraw or flinches, it means you didn't do it the right way, so you need to make some adjustments. Chapter 8. Nonverbal Communication in Job Interviews. Applications happen online much more nowadays, but one thing remains the same: the body language of the candidate throughout job interviews and how they make the first impression as they step inside that interview room. This is so crucial that it can't be overlooked. Your sort of person. You will be examined by the type of person you are or pretend to be. Based upon your body language, a recruiter can figure out whether you are positive or not, if you are the shy type or the friendly type, if you happen to be a loner or a good team player, or even if you are telling the truth or not. And based on this, she or he will identify if you're a good fit for the job. They can normally see if you can manage the job, if you adhere, or if you're somebody who can work well with the other employees in that company. When they ask their questions, the recruiter won't only pay more attention to what you say, but also on how you say it and what attitude you have. The job interviewer generally will find reactions from you that match their qualifications. How you can decipher the body language of your recruiter in relation to your own body language will figure out the thin line if you get that job or not. So, practice in front of the mirror. Proper gestures in job interviews. It is better to avoid crossing your arms. Just position your hands loosely on your lap or just put them on the armrest of your chair. By doing this, you will also have the ability to make hand movements to support what you are saying. While speaking, you should nod your head sporadically to expound on a subject or to give more meaning to what you are saying. This shows that you're following along and listening. Hand movements can also help to spice up the conversation. The interviewer would think that you are comfortable with the interview process if you make hand gestures, so that helps too. Too many hand movements at the beginning of the interview may not be a nice idea. If you're all over the place, you may be conceived as being wild and messy, but you don't need to be a stiff either. Try to be yourself and remain in the safe middle of it. The best way is to add them slowly throughout the interview. Be aware of your interviewer's hand movements as well. If they use their hands a lot to make a point or to clarify something, you can do the same thing too. When they don't make many movements, do the same thing as they are doing. Adjust your gestures to that of the interviewer to establish rapport and trust. Be attentive to unintentional gestures that you could make each once in a while due to stress. Some of the acts that could aggravate the recruiter could include tapping your fingers across the desk, shuffling your feet, biting your nails, toying with a pen. These are all a huge no-no. Avoid them. The body language of your job interviewers. Observing the body language of your recruiters is as important as being aware of your own body movements. You should see what they are doing and try to read the signs. This gives you a better comprehension of what they think of you and what sort of person they are. Remember that you're not just there to impress them, but also to see if they are the sort of person you want to work with. You do not want to accept a job that will make you miserable. For example, if you do something that disappoints the interviewers, they might show their annoyance through body language. When they sigh, shake their heads, look down, or fold their arms and lean back, you can take that as a sign of disapproval or irritability. And instead of being frightened, try to adjust and think fast how you can gain their favor again. However, you don't always need to acquire favor, but instead be the best you can be, and then, if they hate you for it, it's not always a bad thing to not get hired. The recruiters might not purposely notice that they're showing their body language at first, so you still have a chance to move your method. Chapter 9. Being Confronted. From the very first real moment you engage with another person, your mutual nonverbal communication is in constant communication. You are telling them about yourself by the way you look, the way you move, the expression on your face, and the tone of your voice. And if this sounds just too revealing, then reassure yourself with the fact that they're telling you all about themselves in the exact same way. This area of the book looks at how the process talked about above happens through social body language, how you can analyze precisely what others are interacting to you, and how you in turn can be most effective in what you communicate to them. It takes you through the steps from the preliminary meeting to holding a conversation, from understanding a person moment to moment to analyzing their personality gradually. It explores how to make and keep good friends, how to defend your time alone, and how to appreciate that of other people, and finally, how to endure when you move from one-to-one contact into the world at large. Nice to meet you. When you initially meet somebody, you have just 10 seconds to make an impression on them. Or, to put it another way, in the first 10 seconds after meeting a beginner, you're going to be making a specific impression on them, whether you like it or not. Before you even open your mouth to speak, you non-verbally inscribe the other person with your persona, the image you present to the world, coming right across as effective or futile, confident or worried, friendly or standoffish. Even with somebody you've met previously, you can determine the whole tone of your contact by what your body language communicates at the very start. Let's begin then with the essentials. How do you initially make contact? The most important way people generally do so is with their eyes, so use yours successfully. Don't use an off-putting gaze, but do keep your eyes on the person you're about to greet so that, when they turn to you, you are ready to meet their look. If you open your eyes just partially more widely than typical, this approximates the fleeting eyebrow flash that people give spontaneously when they acknowledge another person, and which will instantly make your companion feel invited and valued. After the initial greeting, follow through that eye contact. Humans naturally turn towards those that they appreciate and value, so let your body and head direction focus on the other person and fight any temptation to look or move away. Turning away signals, "I fidget," "I feel inferior to you," "You're going to be much more outstanding if you face directly," "Lean in slightly," and display self-confidence and friendliness with a smile. A really good trick to remember if you're feeling anxious and finding the encounter challenging is to smile quickly and widely 3 or 4 times, rather than try to maintain a repaired grin, which will die away slowly and embarrassingly. Then you are going to be prepared to move into an official greetings ritual, including words and touch. The direction in which your body is turned and angled to the other person can immediately extend itself into offering your hand to be shaken. Don't be shy of this. Human beings are programmed to feel closer to a person they have touched, so missing out that part of the routine means you lose the chance to produce a bond. A suggestion from political leaders, incidentally, is to forget fretting about what you say, and just repeat the person's name as you look and touch. This not only makes your companion feel essential, but connects the person's name and face in your mind, making recall much easier. Throughout that, obviously, you won't be acting in a vacuum. The other person will be giving you clear signals as to whether they authorize of what you are doing. Keep checking continuously to see how friendly or official they want to be, and then adapt those 5 separate aspects of your greeting: eye contact, body lean, smile, touch, and words. If meeting an opponent in an important sports match, for instance, you may want to tone down the smile and shake hands crisply and quickly. However, if your sister's new fiancé appears to think he needs to kiss you on both cheeks, and you want to make him feel at ease, move closer in reaction to his extended forward lean, and evaluate from his movement just the right time to offer initially one cheek, then the other. Chapter 10. The Senses. One element underlying everybody's character is which of the senses they prefer. Does a person revel most in what they see, hear, or touch? The senses of odor and taste are generally peripheral, crucial only in situations such as eating or lovemaking. Most people do have a slight preference for one of these, but some people have a very distinct liking for one sense or the other, which notifies their character and can regularly show through noticeably in their body language. Lookers tend to have good posture but tense shoulders. They are usually thin with tight lips. Certainly they'll choose outfits and furnishings for visual impact. They feel good inside when they see appealing things. Not only this, but they also think generally in images, which causes horizontal brow furrowing, so they may have forehead wrinkles on an otherwise unlined face. Listeners think that sound is important, and words are also essential. Their usual posture is with head slightly down and to one side, just as if listening, or with one hand up to their face or ear, the telephone posture. When thinking something through, you'll typically see their lips move, just as if talking to themselves. They love rhythm and might vanquish mental riffs on tables, on chair arms, or in the air. They'll have the automobile stereo set to turn on when they start the ignition. Touchers, who are typically extremely psychological people, are usually rounded fit. They might not actually be plump, but they tend to lean in and have slightly rounded shoulders and full lips. They breathe deeply, move in a rather loose, relaxed manner, and often have deep voices. Their style is based on how things feel rather than look, so they will choose for comfort and softness instead of fashion. There are pros and cons to each sensory preference. Having a tendency to one instead of another does not put an individual at a drawback in life, though it could mean that they're more matched to some jobs than others. Never, for instance, ask a listener to tell you what to wear to a celebration, while fashion guidance from a looker will guarantee that you look superb, but will not guarantee that you feel comfortable. Similarly, if you identify that your interior decorator is a toucher, you could want to hire somebody else, though you may also consider having a sensual affair with him or her. Check to see if you yourself have a strong preference for one sense. If you have prepared for potential issues when you meet someone with a strong preference for another. If you are a looker and a good friend is a listener, drawing him a picture of your new condo will be pointless. Tell him about it instead. If he in return tries to describe his new girlfriend, you could need him to show you a picture before you can actually be excited about the relationship. Much more discreetly lookers, listeners, and touchers vary in their fundamental communication styles. A looker will actually really need to look a lot while talking, which could make a listener feel invaded. On the other hand, a listener who tends to avert while speaking might make a looker feel unappreciated. And if during a squabble your toucher good friend moves closer to get reassurance, he is not attacking your space, just following his sensory choices. If you embrace him, he'll find it simpler to feel good again. This has been Body Language. Get better at job interviews, flirting, and nonverbal communication. Written by John Adamson. Narrated by Rory Young. Body Language. Mirroring, negotiating, and other essential communication principles. Written by John Adamson. Narrated by Rory Young. Chapter 1. The Principles of Body Language. Body language, or sometimes called communication, is the unspoken or nonverbal approach of correspondence that we do in each and every part of our partnership with somebody else. It resembles a mirror that divulges to us what the other individual is thinking or feels due to our words or activities. Nonverbal communication behavior includes motions, subtle gestures, and other body signs. Would you believe that, all things considered in most scenarios, 60% to 80% of the messages that we pass on to other individuals are transferred through nonverbal communication, and the real verbal correspondence represents just 7 to 10%? Our capacity to use nonverbal communication decidedly and to translate other people's brains through their nonverbal communication or messages isolates the guys from the boys, or women from young ladies, and can be a capable device to our general identity enhancement. Imagine making an incredible impression for work, business, and love by being educated in this not actually normal yet intense discipline. It's the implicit instrument to an efficient life. So read on and find how you can read and use nonverbal communication skills, or bodily language, the most used yet most misjudged mystery dialect on earth. Analyze the signs the right way. We use body language regularly in our lives to convey the desired info, to achieve positive criticism in our lives, and to get whatever we need. We use this dialect constantly, but we could not know about it. Furthermore, this dialect does not just include the mouth, but the whole body as well, and that is why it can be so complicated to read sometimes. Can you try and visualize the splendid energy of using it? With it, you will have the capability to translate other people's inward emotions, regardless of whether they are not directly interacting it. You're going to likewise have the capacity to change your conduct to fit the circumstances. You will encourage them to like and actually believe you. What words cannot do, nonverbal communication can. In this section, we will examine the different body signals or developments passed on by individuals in numerous situations. How about we start? Suggesting interest. It is crucial to know whether individuals listen to what you are saying, else you are simply misusing your opportunity and losing time. Just visualize you are a science educator. You have reliably been preoccupied with science, so then you accept that your students feel an indistinguishable interest in the exact same thing as you. Be that as it may, would they say they are exceptionally fascinated? Are your proving techniques that are good enough to excite them? Unless you can perceive the diverse body signals your students are handing down, you could never know how they're adjusting to the topic. Here are some of the body language gestures and signs by people who are interested in what you are saying. They keep eye contact for more than 60% of the time. The more wide open the eyes are, the more interested the individual is. Undoubtedly, a man generally maintains eye contact more when tuning in than when talking. Their heads are inclined forward. They are gesturing their heads. Such activity indicates that they're accepting you. That suggests they're conscious and listening to you. Their feet are pointing toward you. They smile every now and again. Be that as it may, observe, not all smiles hand down a similar inclination. An elliptical smile is not real. It's utilized to demonstrate friendliness. The lips are kept absolutely once more from the upper and lower teeth, framing the oval shape. That is generally the smile that numerous people show when they fake to really appreciate a weak joke. Signs that they are more open. When you were a child, have you at any point tried to unwind what your folks' facial expression suggests when you ask that they get you a different toy or to take you to Disneyland? A grimace would likely be a no, but a nod and smile would influence you to leap with happiness. As you become older, it has turned into a need to have the capability to determine if other individuals will agree with your choice or proposal. That is a capacity that will genuinely help conciliators, workers, and even lovers to prevail in their undertakings, since they would have the capacity to change their method early enough to comply with a certain situation. There are insights to show if people are more responsive in enduring or approving your ideas. Some of these are: if they're rubbing their jaw, they're thinking. They may agree with you after carefully pondering what you say. Their hands are level on the table. Their palms are open. Their heads are inclined forward. They are nodding their heads. Their legs are apart from one another. They smile routinely. They unfasten their coats. This shows cordiality and passion to coordinate with you. Their hands are open. This likewise demonstrates being real. They put their hands in their chest. This indicates transparency and hands-down earnestness, credibility, or commitment. In either case, a lady putting her hands in her bosom is a mindful position and could demonstrate that she's astonished or stunned. Signs of what they are thinking. Individuals think continuously. Be that as it may, varied people make unique body movements in view of the sort and power of their thinking. Some of their activities are lined up here. They take their glasses off, and then after that, they may either 1. Clean them, or 2. Put the tip of the edge in their mouth. They are getting themselves a little bit of time to think things over. An edge in the mouth would likewise show that they require more subtle details before they listen more. They are squeezing the bridge of the nose, at times with the eyes shut. Individuals doing this are obsessed with profound idea. They might be connected with a problematic circumstance where they know about the results that could happen because of deciding on necessary choices. They put a palm below the button, forefinger pointed and extended along the cheek, while different fingers put underneath the mouth. This movement shows contemplations that are reprimanding or threatening other individuals. They have their heads behind their backs when they walk. People who walk along these lines are very likely stressed over their concerns, and they are thinking about approaches to resolve them. Signs they are about to act. People who are concentrated on getting something done and highly motivated could not only be acknowledged by how they speak. Their actions actually speak louder. They generally walk at a fast pace as they're swinging their arms loosely. They tend to put their hands on their hips, often with their legs apart. They walk around with their hands on their hips. This may show a spurt of vitality at the moment, but can also be followed by sluggishness. Signs that they are defensive or being deceptive. The mouth could have its tricks, but certain signs could show that people are hiding something they do not want others to find, like: they walk with their hands in their pockets. They cross their arms. They hide their hands any way they can. So yes, hiding hands can mean something like that, but don't fall into the trap of leaping to conclusions. I once had a person tell me I was defensive or hiding something when I crossed my arms, when all I was doing was standing in a certain position and listening to the teacher. There were no real emotions in my mind at the time, so the fact that she said that about me surprised me. Signs of boredom. Envision your manager is finishing an introduction, and all workers are required to listen to him or her. You saw that a great deal of them are clicking their pen, tapping their feet, and drumming their fingers. After the gathering, you hear the supervisor ask them, "Did you really appreciate the introduction?" They would state, "Certainly," but you know better. Their activities demonstrate precisely how exhausted they are. It feels great to know nonverbal communication, is not that right? A few signs passed on by people who are tired and uninvolved include: head reinforced by the palm, routinely joined by sagging eyes. They demonstrate mindlessness by gazing at a clear space, eyes not squinting, or by glancing around often as possible. They are pulling their ears. This may likewise connote that they want to interrupt someone while that person else is talking. They are clicking a pen non-stop. They are tapping their hands or feet. They yawn unendingly. Their feet or other body parts are showing the exit, like they are exceptionally anxious to remove. They move anxiously in their seats. That could also suggest that they aren't comfortable or quiet, or they may very well be depleted. They fold their legs and continuously kick their foot in a very small movement, specifically done by females. In case you are the one making the intro and you observe that your meeting is one in which people are demonstrating indications of weariness, do not start talking quicker or louder. Control from such act no matter whether your nature advises you to do as such. Rather, say, "Hold on, I feel that I am losing your attention. What's up?" Hear what they need to say. You might find what's really keeping them from staying alert during your speech. Perhaps they are just worn out, or they've heard it all before, or they have something else on their minds. Signals displaying confidence, authority, power. People with a high level of confidence are routinely more prone to be reliable than the individuals who have low self-confidence. Also, the people who show authority or predominance, more often than not, wind up as the winner, since they intuitively influence other people to feel weaker. So how would they move? They keep up firm eye-to-eye connection and from time to time look at other body parts underneath the nose. They talk with a low-pitched, moderate-paced, coming down arched voice. Chin slanted upwards, chest expected outwards. They maintain an erect position when it comes to standing or sitting. They sit backward, with the back of the seat filling in as their help or guard. Those who sit in this position are known to be bossy and forceful. Their hands are comprehended behind the back. Their hands are set near to the hips. Their feet are on the table. They have a firm handshake, palms pointing downwards. They recline with the two hands supporting the head. They move with precision and with no wavering. They walk strongly with compelling arm swings. They join the fingertips of the two hands together, little finger of the two hands combined, ring finger of the two hands consolidated, etc. Palms of the two hands aren't in contact with one another. The higher the hands are raised, the surer they are of themselves. They put one leg over the arm of a seat they are being in. When they do this, it might likewise indicate that they are passionless, uninvolved, or unconcerned. They may show the "I could not care less" mindset. Also, you can announce your proficiency over other individuals by arising or raising yourself from them. It isn't unusual to see taller individuals being accountable for the circumstance. Pick a seat or area where other people should look upward on you. They will subliminally think they are weaker and can without much of a stretch be controlled. Signs of nervousness, tension. Anxiety can be a state of mind killer. In case you are going to be met in a network show, hi, who knows, you should know about your body signals. Signs passed on by restless people include: they clench their fists, their hands or feet are tapping, the base edges between the fingers of one hand are held with the base edges between the fingers of the other hand. This is the position of the hands while supplicating. Hands are interlocked. Tissue among thumb and forefinger of one hand, compound among thumb and tip of another hand, and squeezing one another. They talk in a piercing, quick-paced, stammering voice. They squeal to cover and battle their anxiety. They are regularly making a sound just as if to speak. One hand is grasping the other hand, wrist, arm, or elbow. Their arms are at the back, where one hand is squeezing the wrist or arm. Their arms are crossed, however, they're comprehending their biceps. Their legs are crossed while standing. They have a withered handshake, palms pointing upwards. Their eyes are avoiding you. Their lower legs are bolted or adhered to one another. At the point when joined by comprehended clenched hands, this may show that they're keeping down engaging feelings or sentiments. They don't smoke. What? You thought people smoke because they are concerned. Be that as it may, it is in certainty the inverse. People that smoke just do as such when they are not strained at all. When you hear them say, "Whew," it suggests they are beforehand anxious, yet are currently reduced, because of the fact that their concerns have been understood or they have endured a major test. Signals made when they are doubting you or are suspicious. It's occasionally hard to expect whether you are being deemed a reputable individual or you are being thought of as somebody who is actually full of it. Here are several pieces of information that might show doubt. They see sideways from the side of one eye. They are rubbing or touching their eyes or ears. Their hands are embedded their pockets. Their arms are passed through the chest. Their glasses are dropped to the lower bridge of the nose, with eyes peering over them. This could demonstrate that you are being checked nearly to the point that you get conscious. There's one indication you typically do when you are just the one questioning: rubbing or touching your nose. This intuitively happens when you are uncertain of how to answer a basic query, or when you are stressed of other people's reactions to your answer. Signs made when they need assurance. A few people have this issue when they feel that they are constantly making the wrong choices. Would it be a good idea for me to really acquire this? Perhaps I should stand by for a deal. Would I have the ability to show signs of improvement at work after I leave this organization? These individuals do certain activities to guarantee themselves that they have made the right choice, that there's no reason to worry. They stick a pen in their mouth. They crush the chunky part of their hand. They rub the back of the seat while sitting. They secure their hands with thumbs touching against one another. They bite their nails, once in a while. They touch their throat, for women. They wiggle the coins in their pockets, for the people who are worried about their wealth. This is what people do when they want to comfort or assure others. A lady offers alleviation to another woman by holding both of her hands and sometimes embracing her. The facial appearance of the soothing woman matches the serious frame of mind of the other woman. A federal government authority who may want to assure you that he will complete a great job when chosen in the middle of the day often would shake your hand with his correct hand and cup it with his left hand. How to see lies. People lie for a variety of reasons. It might be to hide a blame or shame, to abstain from annoying other individuals, to encourage a person, or to be saved from negligible problems. It might also be because of more authentic mental concerns, for example, capricious imaging or outrageous vanity. Here are a few signs that are shown by individuals when lying. They talk in a screeching, quick-paced, stammering voice. They are always gulping and making a sound just as if to speak. They try their best to abstain from having eye-to-eye connection. This applies particularly to people who need to avoid talking about a particular theme. They look elsewhere and see from the side of their eye. They stick their tongue out to damp their lips. They are flickering rapidly. They rub their throat. Their arms are crossed on the chest. They are continually touching parts of their face, especially the mouth, ear, and nose like covering them. They scratch their head or the back of the neck. Their postures are diving and unsteady. Their hands or feet are tapping. They reliably look down with shrugged shoulders. They are always moving, beginning with one place, then on to the next, or changing their postures. They are anticipating parts of their body, feet, to an escape course, entryway. Chapter 2. Mirroring. Mirroring is the conduct in which one individual intuitively mirrors the movement, speech, or language, or disposition of another. Mirroring routinely happens in social situations, particularly in the presence of friends, partners, or family. The idea regularly affects other individuals' thoughts about the person that's displaying mirroring practices, which can prompt the individual building trust with other people. Mirroring is the subliminal replication of someone else's nonverbal signals. This idea happens in ordinary connections, and usually goes unnoticed by both the individual mirroring and the one that is being mirrored. The actuation of mirror neurons happens inside the person who begins to show another's movements, and allows them a more popular association and understanding with the person that they're mirroring, and in addition, allowing the one that is being mirrored to feel a more grounded trust level with the other person. It is different from cognizant impression on the basis that while the last is a cognizant, commonly unmistakable push to duplicate another person, mirroring is intuitively done and usually goes undetected. Mirroring often begins in the early years, as young kids and kids copy their parents without intentionally attempting to be the exact same. The capability to imitate another person's behavior allows the baby to establish some feeling of compassion and along these lines begin to comprehend somebody else's emotions. Followed by this is typically a higher sense of empathy too. The newborn kid continues building up associations with other person's feelings and consequently mirror their actions, the way they talk, the way they walk, and so on. Mirroring can build up affinity with the individual who is being shown as the likenesses in nonverbal motions enable the person to feel more related to the individual demonstrating the mirrored conduct. That's why you typically see old couples look like one another. For several years or even decades, they revealed similar facial expressions, tones, and actions. They have developed similar viewpoints and adapted to each other's conduct, often subconsciously copying that same behavior. As the two people in the scenario show comparable nonverbal signals, they might rely on that they share equivalent dispositions and ideas also. Mirror nerve cells respond to and cause these developments, making it possible for the people to feel a more notable feeling of engagement and belonging inside the circumstance. Correspond with their state of mind. On the off chance that a man you're showing has a lot of concerns, don't come to him with a cheesy smile and say, "Do not stress over it. We should watch a movie," with the objective that you'll forget your worries. He's in a grumpy state of mind. He anticipates that you'll feel for him, to relate to him. Match his mindset to start with. At that point, say something like, "I feel awful for you. Is there something I can do for you? Let me know." All he needs at this moment is to be with someone who has an equivalent mindset from what he has. An expression of care, however. If someone has some substantial emotional problem and you show that individual, you risk really fascinating his or her emotions. Therefore, do this action in an usually safe circumstance. Building trust. A conclusive goal of mirroring is to build trust. It's the time when you and the people you're mirroring feel so close and in sync with one another that you sense that you have known one another for quite a very long time. So how might you know whether you've done that? Mirror them. Match whatever trademark, value, or perform that they have that you may want to duplicate. After a bit of time, touch your nose or fold your legs. If they do a comparable thing, objective accomplished. You have successfully brought down their protections to the point where they are more responsive to your recommendations. In fact, they're mirroring you unconsciously. You can also build trust no matter whether a man you are mirroring is far. Here's the way in which you can do it. 1. Just chill. Clear your brain of each antagonistic idea and make a Bond person you wish to reflect. Make his picture so authentic and distinct. 2. Use your subliminal mindful mind to enter his reality. Feel the association. Send out positive forecasts, joining his whole persona into yours. 3. Think of what he may do at this moment. At that point, duplicate his actions, practices, and standards. With this activity, you can even copy your good examples. Suppose you need to be as effective as your manager who is continuously going far and wide. Do the above exercise and you are going to quickly see some fantastic results. Chapter 3. Body Language During Negotiations. In almost each point in your life, you unconsciously do the art of negotiations. From bargaining with your favorite flea market salesgirl to lobbying for a worthy raise you may get from your boss, settlements are being made daily in everyone's life. And nearly every little thing in negotiation involves body language. It holds true. As far as the genuine deal in business is concerned, nonverbal communication is an important perspective. Browsing body developments of your partners and making the correct signals might spell the contrast amongst development and frustration in the deal procedure. First impressions last a long time. When it comes to negotiating, the first move is the most vital to the process. Comparable to what happens in the game of chess, if you move the white piece, you get the built-in advantage because you draw first blood, and the rival's next play and game plan is partly depending on that important initial move. So understand what you are doing and have a plan. Start with positive body language. Let your excitement come through. In a meeting, for example, look at the other person's eyes with genuine interest. Your eyes can expose a lot. Just in case you can't maintain eye contact, they could draw the conclusions that you're hiding something, or you are not honest about something. Shake their hands, not flimsily. Hold the hand firmly, but do not squeeze it. A common mistake is that we should squeeze the hand during this monumental time of the handshake. Don't squeeze at all, just be firm. Use your knowledge of body language. During the settlement process, look at their gestures. Earlier on, you were shown how to recognize if people are interested in what you are saying, if they are calling into question you, if they're more open up to accept your proposal, and even when they're lying. Be attentive in recognizing these signals. There's so much to it, way more than what they say with their mouths. Additionally, also understand your own actions. You could be showing signs of anxiety without seeing it, and your counterparts, who most likely also know body language, may take advantage of the circumstance, so watch out for that. Chapter 4. Body Language You Can Use in Sales. Research has indicated that the influence you have on others depends on what you say from your mouth, 7%, the way in which you say it, 38%, and by your body language, 55%. Also, about how you sound also sends a certain kind of message, so 93% of feelings are also communicated without saying the actual words. This is extremely considerable. This is also true in selling. In the real world, we sell concrete products and ideas. We sell ourselves and the way we present ourselves. People will rarely buy from a person they do not like. A succinct way on how we can sell effectively is by just using that old but really powerful arsenal known as body language. When you sell something, make sure you use postures, facial expressions, gestures, quirks, and your physical appearance, so you can close the sale effectively. Most clients tend to buy when triggered by their senses. The most crucial thing is to do everything you can to favorably affect their senses, and to continuously do this. People have to like you, know you, and trust you. Lots of people trusted the image anticipated by Saint Mom Teresa is a constructive picture. She utilized her identity to pass on a picture of sanctity and genuineness. We bought the idea of that impression, and many consider her to be a holy, sweet person. Nonverbal communication also suggests that a man of very not many words is a man you can rely on. It's routinely not what you say that affects others, it's what you don't say. And that's something a lot of people neglect. Once you show them some empathy, peace, or confidence, this says much more than just putting words together to produce expressions. The first impression, as always, matters a lot. Many individuals have judgments prepared immediately when they meet someone. The way they slouch, stand up, smile, frown, move, look at them, and so on. Those are so subtle that they typically cannot describe why they feel a certain way about a certain person, but those signals are picked up and send out a particular vibe that makes people feel either comfortable or awkward with someone. Regardless of whether you represent the deciding moment, a deal can actually rely on the nonverbal signs that you send in this pivotal moment of when you initially meet people. And even all those things will depend upon the culture, background, and former experiences of each person. In Japan, for example, it's traditional to bow, especially to the ones who are considered to have a higher status. But in the Netherlands, the equality society is so common that respect can only be earned by a certain sort of friendliness and casualness that counters being a stiff or overcompensating. In Thailand, the gesture called "Y" with your hands will depend on whom you welcome, with it typically being lower to kids or inferiors and higher to the ones who are above you in social elements. Many women generally detect nonverbal interactions even better. This is specifically true when it comes to selling. Some businesses only work with women, and even on the phone. They are less intimidating, more sexually attractive, and they often give a soothing feeling men can't communicate. It's not always fair, true, but that's the way the world works. And so, you can never compare your sales to those of women. I've applied for jobs where they chose a woman, especially for the very reason that they wound up searching for a woman's voice on the telephone, or a female representative, as they had more female clients. What type of client? Above and past this general body language, you also need to treat each person slightly in a different way, depending upon what sort of clients or customer they are. The neutral client does not actually want to communicate on any sort of personal level. She might not even register you as an individual. She might examine you or through you as she speaks, give you little facial expression and no rapport signals. You, in return, need to respect her need for a non-relationship. Adopt a neutral tone, and do not try to engage her with eye contact, let alone chat. Sign her off as quickly as you can, and she's going to enjoy. The friendly client wants the precise opposite. She could not want to chat, but she does want to feel that she is connecting to you as another person. She'll typically give you rapport signals as clear just as if she were speaking to a person she knew well, in a friendly voice, with smiles and open gestures. You can react in kind, though of course in a toned-down way. It's up to the client to take the lead and for you to follow. Conversely, a customer who is a fan will really want you to take charge. That type is usually seen in circumstances where people are unfamiliar with or anxious of the procedures included, like airplane flights. She will almost duck as she approaches you, head partially bent and eyes lowered. She may appear timid, with an anxious laugh or wary gestures, and will tend to use up less space than typical. In response, you need to appear calm and in control, and give her directions that are even more emphatic than typical, in a clear voice. Other clients want to feel in charge, as they're wary of you or since they are wary in case the service you offer fails. The boss type will instantly gaze you down as she approaches, her face frowning, her voice loud and firm. She will typically try to trespass on your space to prove her supremacy, leaning over the counter, positioning her bag or coat on it, or grabbing your arm. A variation on this type is the overtly aggressive client. She generally has a particular problem and can be easily identified by her mad, nonverbal communication. It's appealing to match bad conduct with bad behavior, but you should not. Instead, keep smiling, and however hard it might be, try dropping your shoulders and head just slightly as you talk. Research studies of dispute situations have shown that reducing the body somewhat decreases the tension 90% of the time. By giving a customer such signals, you're telling her that she is in the right. Whether or not she is, she'll be much easier to handle once she's been calmed. Reaching contract. So many books have been written things about how body language can encourage even the most unwilling client to buy. But in reality, clients can identify manipulation and react best to an authentic desire to meet their needs. The primary step for that reason is to welcome your client with authentic pleasure. In a retail context, catch her eye and smile as she enters, though if she knows the just looking, not touching eye sweep of the true web browser, then don't bother going up to her. If you are contacting your client on the phone, stand and smile at the start of the call to give your voice an increase in enthusiasm. Take some time to establish rapport. If you're face-to-face with a client, use all the ideas given previously. On the phone, talk for a while to enable yourself to sign up the client's voice tone and rhythm. Then, match these verbal cues in just the exact same way as you would match gestures, till you're both feeling at ease with one another. Next, present the item, be that an actual thing or a principle like a new business idea. The key here is to assess just what the client needs to know if she's a looker-toucher. Give her the product or promotional material to see or deal with. If she's a listener, present the info in words, speaking with complete confidence and with confidence doubt that can suggest you're insincere or inexperienced. In both cases, use all your rapport abilities and add in some palm-down gestures to motivate trust. Once you have presented the item, back off. You might think that talking is the only way to sell, but actually, most clients really need downtime to think through their choice. Return, literally or metaphorically, and keep silent. While they are thinking, watch them carefully. Know whether your clients are using open body language, for example, open arms, open facial expression, or closed, crossed arms and legs, frown, pursed mouth, and whether they are using forward body language, forward lean, forward head tilt, or backwards leaning back, raised chin. Then use the following guidelines so as to judge what to do next. If clients' nonverbal communication is both closed and backward leaning, they're feeling uninvolved and bored. You have to spark their interest and get them re-involved with your proposal. If the client's body language is closed but forward leaning, they're feeling threatened and confrontative. 50 withdraw from heavy tactics, diffuse their anger, and let them feel more secure. If their nonverbal communication is open and backwards leaning, they're considering your proposition, but aren't yet convinced. Find out what is really needed to close the sale. But if their body language is both open and forward-leaning, then they're yours. You can move forward to close the sale, positive that they are going to go with you. Whatever the outcome, whether your client purchases anything from you or not, you should use body language to end well. If the final answer is a genuine no, you're going to know it by the client's certain headshake or their firm voice tone, as they choose not to take things farther. Hide your feelings. A pleasant, undisappointed reaction gives the nonverbal message that their decision has been appreciated, and leaves them feeling good about any other technique on another occasion. If the answer is yes, however, you can show your delight with a smile, a nod, a rise in voice volume and pitch. Your aim is to give the message you made the right decision, which will reward the client, let them feel good, and make them want to handle you again. Interview success. The preliminary step when you know you have an interview is typically to discover more about your potential new company to notify your performance. But don't just collect specifics from what they say in the pamphlet or on the phone. Go one step farther. Look at their nonverbal communication and translate that also. Start by looking at their ad and the application package they send, not the words, but the statement made by the nonverbal communication aspects. Is this a firm with a shiny application package? This might mean that they're doing well, or it may mean that they want to have, rather than actually have, status and wealth. Does their badly photocopied application mean that they don't pay much attention to presentation, or that the job they want to fill isn't important? How many images of the company chairperson do you see in their pamphlet rather than shots of the working team, or of men instead of women, product instead of people, company head office rather than product? What do these tell you about their business method? If you can go to the work environment and look at the staff, for example, as they leave for their lunch break, check all you see against the environment and appearance to learn more about a company. Let everything you have learned inform your preparation for the interview, not only in what you plan to say, but also in your body language. An example would be the following. Many individuals just wear their business suit to interviews, which is fine if it is a suit business. If it's a business where suits are regarded as dull, you may do better wearing something more creative. Your clothing still needs to be more upmarket than you would usually wear. The nonverbal declaration you should be making is that this interview is essential to you. However, you can customize your clothes and makeup and hairdo rather specifically to the company, if you have correctly read the signs. Similarly, let your general body language also signify your fit with the company ethos. If it's official or hierarchical, let your posture and expression match this. If it is more casual and cooperative, allow your body language to be more relaxed, though never casual. You need to be seen to be on your best behavior. Signal throughout to everyone you meet, I'm going to suit this company. Interview body language. Prior to the interview itself, read the areas of this book on how to adjust the body language series of relaxation, self-confidence, and motivation. They can help by letting you feel genuinely calm at the time of the preliminaries, but then look out and self-guaranteed as you go into the interview room. Once there, don't resent the room format. Some job interviewers deliberately put a candidate at a downside by putting them in a slightly lower than regular chair, or creating a formal barrier with a desk that non-verbally reinforces your secondary status. Neglect this. Every prospect will be in the exact same position. Sit straight on your chair. Any leg crossing or sideways lean can make your posture appear uncomfortable. It's important to be relaxed, so keep your hands together in your lap to start with, otherwise you may be tempted to fidget, a basic sign of anxiety. Do not totally stop yourself from making gestures, however, as this will decrease your fluency rate and your verbal clarity. If you're anxious, stop briefly just slightly before you answer any question, thus giving you time to think, but also enabling you to appear seriously thoughtful. If you don't comprehend something, or when you come to ask questions of the interviewer rather than being asked, then adopt the non-threatening inquiry expression, head on one side, a minor frown, half smile. This not only signifies that you want to know more, but also assures the speaker that your need to know is not a reflection of her or his failure to be clear. A last key to success, curiously enough, is to give your interviewer signals that you approve of him or her. We tend to think of recruiters as remaining in such positions of authority that they don't really need approval. However, research studies have shown 3 constant nonverbal communication signals being positively associated with interview success: smiling, nodding, and keeping friendly eye contact. Obviously, none of these body language components could have anything to do with a candidate's real capability to do the job. Rather, they're nonverbal signals of acceptance from interviewee to job interviewer. The main clues regarding whether you have been successful at an interview will most likely not be clear as you leave. To tell how you're doing, you need to check the signs during the interview. Is the job interviewer searching for questions to ask you, indicated by their frequently looking up or to the left with a small frown? Are they leaning well back from the desk, actually withdrawing from the interaction? Do they react to your answers with slight head shakes? Are they steadily reducing their amount of facial expression in case they show what they really feel? Or are they, for the same reasons, demonstrating just way too much approval, giving incorrect smiles and a sure fit of nods to compensate for the rejection they know they will hand you? If you do spot these negative signs before the end of the interview, then you can act, though it takes nerve. Change your nonverbal communication in any way, shape, or form you can. Talk less, talk more. Smile less, smile more. Use your hands more or less. Lots of these nonverbal communication techniques could seem like interview suicide. However, if you are convinced that you've already failed, then you have absolutely nothing to lose by experimenting with them. Conversely, you're going to know you are doing well if the interviewer has an interest in what you need to say, shown by a forward lean or an open body posture. A longer interview than given to other prospects can be a favorable nonverbal statement of interest, though don't translate a much shorter one pessimistically if it's joined by genuine approval signals. A heated exchange can be good news if accompanied by passionate gestures and a thrilled facial expression. Above all, though, search for signs of reciprocal acceptance, matching smiles, eye contact, head nods. If you see these signs, you can't ensure success. There may be other ideal prospects whose official certifications are better than yours. However, if you do not get the job, you can at least assure yourself. You know that the recruiter unconsciously thought you sufficed, even if the end outcome didn't reflect this. Here are several body language techniques to help make your sales sizzle. 1. You can rapidly examine a person's personality by studying her or his style in shaking hands. We have mentioned that, but let me stress it again. An assertive person holds your hand firmly when you shake his hand. Then again, an individual with little or no self-confidence typically gives a frail handshake. A person who wants to win your trust would usually shake your hand with his other hand, covering the shake or holding your elbow. Adopt a handshake that is firm, yet not crushing. Communicate self-confidence and professionalism, but not dominance. Don't be daunting, and don't act inferior either. 2. Posture is another fundamental part of body language. A slouching shoulder with your eyes searching the ground can suggest lack of interest or being shy. Standing straight with your weight balanced on each foot gives you a more guaranteed and relaxed look. Always maintain a straight body, whether you're standing or sitting. Anyone can change this in a second. 3. Match the straight, open posture with a genuine facial expression. Do not wear sunglasses. Some people do this to look cool, but it does not make people trust you more. The client might think that you are hiding something, as she or he can't look into your eyes. When he looks straight in your eyes, he can tell in case you are lying, so be transparent and open. Put down your cards and toss the shades away, but be sure to avoid piercing aims to not daunt anyone. 4. When you are doing sales calls and presentations, be sure to use genuine and open movements all of the time. Do not cross your arms, as this can destroy the trust of your potential consumer. They can translate it as defensiveness. The outside and upward gestures of your hands are recommendable. If you lean back on a chair and put your hands at the back of your head, it might drive your clients away, as this is a sure sign of arrogance and a false sense of confidence. Don't ever smoke and blow the smoke into the air. I've seen this so many times. It radiates arrogance also. Meanwhile, if you place your hands on your waistlines, you are exuding positive self-confidence. 5. Don't point. Pointing at a customer is equivalent to death wish in selling. Some people have done this and it's frightening. It's as though you are waving your sales opportunity goodbye. Pointing is an aggressive act that can be analyzed as hostility, so don't do it. 6. In sales, here are signs that you are open for settlements and are willing to compromise. Unbuttoning your coat means you are all set to talk and to listen to a counteroffer. In a way, it is removing some of your outfits, which shows you have nothing to hide. Eliminating your jacket or rolling your sleeves up is an excellent sign for the client, as this means you are prepared to choose or to succumb to the final cost. You, as the seller, may also use body language as a tool to recognize and counteract any potential objections by the client. The typical scenes may include the following. 1. If the client's arms are crossed, it means he is not really interested the majority of the time. You should use countermeasures like positive movements to cause them to uncross their arms and make them trust you, and for you to begin the sales technique. When her or his arms and legs are uncrossed and his hands are open, this is the best indication, as they're open to your ideas, and a sale is more likely to happen. I try not to do it, but I even do it when people try to sell me stuff I do not want. 2. Another good sales scenario is when the client mimics your gestures, like when you fix your hair and the client follows. It shows she or he is probably open and responsive to your ideas, and more likely to buy your idea or product. If this holds true, throw all your barrage of features and benefits and close the sale. Do not wait any longer. In some cases, people have heard enough and they're just all set to buy. This point is essential as you can make or break the sale. It's tough acknowledging these moments at times, but as you practice, you are going to get much better at it. 3. If the client covers his mouth, touches his nose, or the part near his eye, there's a higher likelihood that you're losing the sale. This is, at least, what professionals have concluded. Something you said or did might have discouraged him. But do not be discouraged. Do the selling process again, but this time do it in a different way. Reassure the client that he is getting a great deal, and encourage him to open up and share ideas. Ask questions to find out what's going on in their heads. They may have unsettled issues you need to discover first. Open your palms and automatically let him see you occasionally putting your palm to your chest. This represents sincerity. Then try to reach that positive sales environment another time and ultimately close the sale. This is the way to do it. 4. Always look out to the signs from the client or consumer. The client's body language may change from positive to suspicion. If that is the case, relax. Collect your wits. Read your client's moods and try to win her or him back with questions or something they want to hear. Always display openness and genuineness. That is essential. When the client crosses his legs and arms, this is a warning signal. Use mirroring techniques as we have discussed. You should put as much effort as it takes into earning the trust of the client so that you can eventually seal the deal. 5. In the worst cases where you are unable to close the sale, try to be a professional and diplomatic at all times. Don't get offended, or at least don't show it. Thank the client for listening and shake his hand with sincerity. Sales can't be accomplished overnight, and you generally win some and lose some. In some cases, a person has to see a product several times before they get rid of all doubts and purchases it. Closing the discussion on a positive note will leave a good impression of you. Who knows, right? He might be your next positive client at some other time. Anybody can still become a prospect. This has been Body Language, Mirroring, Negotiating, and Other Essential Communication Principles. Written by John Adamson. Narrated by Rory Young. Body language. How eye contact and nonverbal cues help you analyze people. Written by John Adamson. Narrated by Rory Young. Chapter 1. Leading Your Group. You have changed jobs to a new one with higher status. As time passes and you become your new obligations, you'll begin to display the nonverbal communication of management, all of the signals of being top of the pecking order, but magnified and formalized. Your posture might be slightly more erect, spontaneously increasing your height and breadth, both nonverbal signs of supremacy in ape groups, where the larger and more powerful the animal, the more likely it is to be the leader. You could take on this particular expression referred to as a plus face, with head up, a direct gaze, and a serious facial expression. You're going to be more likely to take first turn, to claim more space, to touch subordinates, and to act in a friendly way to superiors. Despite of what lots of books claim, you can't become a leader just by starting to do all those things. Adopting a new type of nonverbal communication can work temporarily, but it will not work long-term unless it signifies a real change in mindset. One specific example is, if you're being promoted within the company, where everyone will have the ability to compare your new signals to the way you behaved before the promotion, the new you are going to be noted with skepticism. What you can do is to make sure that, as you develop leadership skills, your body language isn't weakening them, and that you're not still acting like a fan. So check your nonverbal communication regularly against the above pointed out signals. If several months into your big promotion you're still finding it hard to speak readily, to go initially, or to act confidently, these are signs that you're not becoming your new role. A word of caution here for the women. As part of their way of coping in life, most women generally develop better social skills. One specific example is, they smile and nod. But if excessive used, this sort of nonverbal communication can show submission or placation, therefore undermining woman's authority, particularly if there are guys in the team. So, when first moving into a management position, it may work for you as woman to tone down and de-stress these signs, smiling rarely or nodding only when something really meets with your approval. It may appear hard-hearted, but it may also mean that you're taken a great deal more seriously. Inspiring the group. One of the key abilities of leadership is encouraging your staff to do a really good job and discouraging them from doing a bad one. You need to learn how to tell your staff when they are succeeding or badly, and also to back up those messages with your body language. Research studies have proved that mixing positive words and negative nonverbal communication puzzles and outrages, while blending negative words with positive nonverbal communication makes people think you're weak and can be easily manipulated. Praise or motivation, then, needs to be joined by authentic signs of approval, a smile, a nod, an enthusiastic tone of voice. If you are a natural toucher and so is your staff member, then you can add occasional contact on shoulder or back, parts of the body that have no sexual obscurity. Because touch reaches the nerve center quicker and successfully than either sight or sound, this will make the praise more meaningful and more inspiring. When it comes to reprimanding staff members, truly angry body language is practically never ever a really good idea. First off, it raises hackles and can create long-lasting bitterness. Second, if you are actually upset, your agitated body state will override any capability to communicate coherently and efficiently. Generally, then, if you feel that unmistakable rise of energy that accompanies anger, take time out to turn away for a minute, take a few deep breaths, and soothe your body down. After this, an expressionless face will carry the clear message that you are displeased, as will a low voice with focus only on the critical words. Just periodically, however, a brief, sharp burst of inflammation can work wonders, particularly if you're someone who is generally even-tempered and helpful. Letting your voice arise and harden just somewhat, letting a frown appear, and your gestures become faster and sharper, can give a recalcitrant worker a tip of what your future displeasure might mean. Task nonverbal communication. Any project of any length, from a 2-year fundraising drive down to a Monday morning meeting, goes through a number of stages, each identifiable by its own characteristic body language. If you are well aware of these signals, You can tell how each task is going and what nonverbal interventions you need to make. The first stage is preparation. This means more than just planning and preparing. It means accomplishing a very good group feeling and making sure that everyone enjoys and dedicated. The group could well be transferring to a slow rhythm as members gradually get ready to the job. There will be a ton of sitting, thinking, and talking. Even with a group that has known each other for several years, it must be apparent from the team's increasingly matching body language that rapport is growing in preparation for the new job. As leader, move and communicate quietly with group members, using your nonverbal skills to help them reach one another. You can also encourage group recognition through matching in most business groups. You will not be able to do this formally, though in groups like theater companies or sports teams, you can get people to sing, dance, exercise, or do other activities together. You'll know that things are working when you see people nonverbal communication beginning to integrate, if you do not let preparation run for a little longer, encouraging the group to talk and share activities more fully. Do not push people on. Try to get them moving too early, or cut this stage brief. People need time to enter synchrony. The next stimulating stage is about action. People will be feeling more dynamic. Their moving speed will increase, and as it increases, they'll get yet more energy. Voices will rise up in pitch, volume, and speed, and as issues turn up, you might hear those same voices be irritated or mad. But the work will get done. At this point, you yourself should be stimulating people. Let your voice and other people's voices will follow. Let your actions become more energetic, and others will be too. Advise people on in a constant, clear voice, and do not worry about disagreements. They're a natural part of the process. What you really need to do is keep individuals' energy up, and if it begins to flag, to get them moving. If all goes well, stay clear and do not interfere. There'll come a point where you have reached your goal, be that the target reached in your fund, raising the motivation levels, or the final decision made in your meeting. Then every team needs wind-down time, though short. Here, they celebrate what they have done, start cleaning, and reflect on what's happened. Many people will in the beginning feel high, want to relax, and let their hair down. You are going to observe rising voices and freer movement. Then they'll be quiet and reflective, relaxing alone, just thinking, or with a couple of others chatting. For a brief job, expect an additional cup of coffee and just several minutes of note-taking. For a huge project, be prepared for a roaring night out and some weeks of filing. At this point, when the end is in sight, make sure people do have a chance to celebrate, even if only quickly over lunch. Praise your team, and after that let go, no longer prompting them on, but enabling them time to unwind. Let your nonverbal method show that you are delighted and happy, and that they are worthy of time to relax. Only by then can you start again, preparing and stimulating your group as you start the ball rolling once more. Chapter 2. Reading the Hints. While all body language is remarkable, it's a very good idea to be notified to specific signals that are very important to notice. This chapter highlights crucial body areas, and within these, some vital signs, with some of the many different analyses you can make of everyone. It used to be thought that a certain nonverbal communication signal meant only one thing, but the most recent research makes it clear that a nonverbal signal can mean any number of things, depending on the context. To understand this, you first really need to check a person's entire body language: appearance, posture, gesture, expression, eye movement, touch patterns, and physical functions. Then you need to check a person's background, their culture, and upbringing to see if this influences the way they present themselves. Does their nonverbal communication show any personalization? Signs that the person has adopted general signals to suit their own personality? Finally, have a look at the circumstance in which you see any specific nonverbal communication sign, to confirm the framework in which it is happening, and check out other individuals' responses and events before and after. Uneven shoulders and upper body. The level of a person's shoulders is even and balanced almost all of the time. When the level is significantly different and shoulders are tilted unevenly, then that's usually a body language signal of some kind of imbalance in what an individual is thinking. It's a recurring sign of the signal humans use when stunned, and it shows they're attempting to decide or consider the choices. A moving movement of the hands and arms as though quite literally weighing the options. Shoulder imbalance is a toned-down, subtle version of this weighing movement. An individual's shoulder level will alternate, first one shoulder, then the other fluctuating, or the person will give a slight wriggle, just as if to shake off something across their upper back. Their head, too, might tilt in synchrony. These movements may accompany an individual's own words about which decision to make, or might be performed less certainly as they react to the possibilities being detailed by another person. If the alternatives truly aren't clear and the person can't appear to decide, you may see them ultimately use up a position with just one shoulder raised, often with a comforting hand supporting the tilted head, as they struggle to come to a conclusion. Shoulder tension. You can tell tense shoulders since they are slightly raised, with the head diminishing just fractionally into the shoulders. This indication is a toned-down variation of the ducking movement people use when actually terrified by something. Flinching from a blow or a word, shoulders coming up to meet the ears as though to block off any sound. Shoulder tension like this can be an indication of lots of things. Integrated with a large, careful look, it shows you that an individual is anxious about something that may happen here and now, that they're actively watching and listening for the real-life problem to take place. Alternatively, when someone has a defocused gaze, it's more likely that they're stressed over something more general in their life, rather than something that is pushing in the here and now. The defocused look shows that they're thinking about the problem, while the shoulder tension indicates their reaction to the train of idea. You are going to see that some natural worriers have a consistently stressed out posture that includes permanently raised shoulders. When they accompany a prevented gaze, a turn away or blocking hand or arm, raised shoulders can also signal to you that an individual wants to be left alone. As pointed out earlier, this is really the cold shoulder. And obviously, if a person continually chooses solitude, in other words, they're a natural introvert, then their natural posture will permanently include those protective, off-putting shoulders. Arms crossed. Crossed arms are typically said to indicate a closed mind, but this analysis is only one of lots of possible clarifications. Undoubtedly, if you notice other signals of non-comprehension, like a blank expression, a furrowed forehead, or a small lean of the head, then arms folded across the body may well be a signal that a listener is not taking in what's happening. Likewise, if an individual's shoulders are tensely raised and there are minute head shakes, then there might well be underlying difference with the arms performing a blocking function, just as though to keep tips at bay. And if feelings escalate to anger, shown by pursed lips, raised voice, and lowered brow, then the crossed arms might tense and pull into the side of the body, with the hands unconsciously clenched into fists. But folded arms can have other, a lot more innocuous intents. They can be a guard. Women use this signal more than guys, maybe since they are safeguarding their bosoms. Similarly, if it's cold, an individual will instinctively try to conserve heat by holding themselves around the middle, where the most important organs are located. And if leaning back in a chair for long periods, an individual will typically cross their arms so as to relax in a different position. In all these situations, you may quite appropriately conclude that in simple fact, they're not defending themselves against anything or anyone, and that crossed arms aren't an unfavorable signal. Hand as a fist. A hand that is freely formed into a fist is an around-the-world expression of aggression. Its meaning is obvious, I'm going to hit you, and its origins are clear. Primates clench their fists to hit one another in play or anger, and either back off or square up for a fight if this gesture is made to them. It's normally joined by an upset or threatening expression, lowered eyebrows, a forward thrust of the lips, and a skin color change as the body prepares yourself for action. Many grown-ups seldom use a clenched fist gesture to threaten violence seriously. What you may see them do, however, is to unconsciously clench their fists when they're mad or inflamed. This slip of the hand, especially when words and facial expression are gentle or placating, indicates somebody's real feelings about the circumstance, emotions that are too socially threatening to be revealed. Indeed, you may see a person positioning their other hand over the fist, to hide it or hold down the violent hand as if to stop acting. An apparent clenched fist also has other meanings in certain cultures. On the one hand, in lots of European countries, a clenched fist at the end of a bent and upward jerking arm is an insult, a crude reference to the sexual act. In Japan, on the other hand, a fist punched lightly into a person's stomach conveys the idea of suicide, reflecting the clenching of the fist around the routine knife used in Japan seppuku. Hand to head. When somebody puts a hand to their head, they could be suggesting certain things. If the head is resting heavily on the hand, the person's head and eyes are angled downward, and their mouth sulks or declines at the corners. You would be right to think that they are feeling dissatisfied or stressed out. The supporting hand acts as a comforter. Its touch will also actually be calming the person, decreasing their heart rate and high blood pressure, and decreasing the adrenaline in their bloodstream. Any gentle, encouraging touch from oneself or from another trusted person will accomplish this physiological pacifying. For people, when it comes to animals, a mild touch reminds us of the safety of youth and relaxes us down. Equally, the hand-to-head position can show psychological activity. It might indicate concentration. If the entire body posture looks out, with raised head and direct eye look that follows what's going on, here the support of the hand helps a person really focus on what is going on around them. Hand to head could also be an indication that an individual is skeptical or is having a psychological discussion with themselves. If it combines with the sideways look and partially tilted head that makes up the gesture known as the telephone position. Hand over the mouth. Positioning the hand over the mouth is generally a sign that means the person is hiding something. That may be something literal and physical, in Western nations at any rate. It is considered rude to belch or hiccup with the mouth exposed, or eat with the mouth open and the contents visible. So an individual will slide their hand up to their mouth to stifle an exhausted yawn, or when they're eliminating pieces of food from between their teeth. In normal discussion, though, you might also see an individual lift their hand to their mouth if they want to hide what they are saying or what they may say. It's a typically womanly signal. A hand lifted to the mouth halfway through a sentence, joined by large eyes and a small flinch, typically means that the person has said something they didn't mean to and is now metaphorically wishing the words back into their mouth. A hand to mouth as a person continues speaking, together with a lowered head and eyes and a mumbling voice, shows that the person feels they need to keep talking, maybe since it will seem suspicious if they don't, but doesn't truly really want you to hear or to actually believe what they are really saying. Head angled. In primate tribes, tilting the head was a way of hearing more plainly, allowing the ear to have freer access to sounds that might indicate approaching danger. The gesture is still a signal that someone is interested and involved, and is a particularly womanly signal. As always, you need to analyze the accurate meaning of the movement in terms of other body signals. If a person actually wants to hear more clearly, they will tend to lean forward and tilt their head partially. If actual hearing is not the issue, but showing approval of a speaker is the aim, then you may see them remain quite still, smile slightly and nod or move in time with the speaker's words. If a person wishes to know more, then they will combine that head tilt with two seemingly contradictory signals, a frown and a smile, to show that they are confused or unsure, but still approve of what's going on and really want the speaker to continue. Apart from this, if someone is upset or angry about what's being said, but still needs to keep listening, then they will let that anger or sadness show in their eyes, eyebrows, or mouth, or will blank their expression slightly so that their real emotions don't stop the speaker from continuing. A head tilt can also show you that someone is listening to themselves. An individual who is thinking of sounds, music, or speech, or who is practicing a conversation or discussing a crucial decision, will also tilt their head. This tilt can be combined with a hand-to-head gesture to form the telephone position. People who do this a lot, whose intrinsic character focuses on what they can hear, will often carry their head at a minor angle, naturally and permanently. Eyes broad. The original function of large open eyes is clear: to see better. But reasons for wanting to see better can differ. Perhaps someone's eyes open broad in enjoyment, flying open in happy surprise. If so, their mouth will partially open too, and their eyebrows will go up. You are going to usually see a toned-down variation of this expression if a person is speaking to a person they like, or about something they like. Their eyes will stay open partially broader than normal over extended periods of time. Actually, since broad eyes signal approval, they are an enticing body language signal, and will produce a strong positive reaction in others, which is exactly why people open their eyes larger than regular when flirting, and why eye-widening makeup can make women appear more appealing. Fascinatingly, human eyes will also widen even when an appealing alternative isn't physically present. When an individual is talking or listening, they will often mark, with a minor widening of their eyes, any spoken adjectives, words that describe things. They attempt to see better what they are imagining in their mind's eye. A broad stare can also, however, be a signal of undesirable surprise. Typically called flashbulb eyes, a person's expression will be more scared, their eyebrows drawing together just as if to protect them from the unattractive sight. And if a person is mad, or in a confrontational mood, they usually intentionally broaden their eyes into a full stare, with greatly lowered eyebrows and lips aggressively pushed forward. That kind of gaze, initially a prelude to eliminating conduct, can by itself prevent someone from doing something, as you may see when watching an adult controlling a kid by gaze alone. Studies have revealed that just a constant look of more than 10 seconds develops anxiety and discomfort in a subordinate, although such a look can make equals or superiors respond aggressively, leading to a battle. Raised eyebrows. The flash rapid raising of the eyebrows for about 1/6 of a second is a basic surprise signal. An individual's eyes will fly wide open to see what's going on, while their eyebrows rise up for a moment to make seeing easier. This movement has also developed a social meaning, observed in monkeys and also in people, of catching the attention of another person, or letting them know they are being looked at. It's nearly as though we humans appear partially surprised to signal to somebody else that there's a real reason for surprise, our meeting them. The eyebrow flash is a worldwide human signal of recommendation, indicating welcome and gratitude. Societies as far apart as the Balinese and the Bushmen show the exact same signal with the exact same meaning. You'll see people eyebrow flash naturally when they meet someone they like or want to be familiar with, and then repeat the movement constantly throughout an interaction with somebody they want to impress or flirt with. There are other meanings for raised eyebrows, however. When the movement is carried out gradually, over several seconds, along with a tilted head, it normally comes at the end of a sentence, as a look at whether the listener has comprehended. When the movement occurs much more gradually with a lift of the head, it can signal disapproval, a declaration such as, "I am surprised at you for your behavior." And with the lowering of the head and eyelids, particularly with pursed lips and a slight turn away, raised eyebrows take disapproval much farther, indicating, "I want to cut off contact and stop interacting with you totally." Pupil dilation. So many physical stimuli trigger human pupils to dilate. Certain drugs do so, as does physical effort like tightening muscles in the body. Eyes that are closed and then sharply opened display pupils that are bigger, till they get used to the light. Anticipation of a loud noise can make pupils enlarge, almost as though the expected shock produces a desire to take a look at our environments completely. Perhaps the most remarkable reasons that pupils dilate are not physical, though, but psychological studies have revealed that if people are emotionally aroused by what they see, their pupils dilate to allow them to see more. This can be that they're attracted to a sight, or that they are sufficiently cautious of it to want to know more. Pupil size lets others know whether they are exciting to the watcher or not. Certainly, others are going to react more positively if they notice, through pupil size in the setting of other positive signals, that the watcher finds them appealing. Therefore, pupil dilation flatters, and so brings in others. That is why, centuries ago, Italian women employed the drug belladonna, beautiful lady, to artificially expand their pupils and make them appear more stunning. Unless you use such artificial stimulants, it isn't possible to knowingly manage pupil size. For that reason, if an individual is really attracted to somebody else, there is no other way they can hide their pupil response. If they aren't attracted, the signals they send will be neutral or negative. Forehead raised. A little raised forehead with minor lines across it is typically an indication that somebody is thinking about something they have seen. They're thinking visually. Nostrils also broaden to let in more air, which permits the body to prepare for action more quickly, another reaction to peril. And so primates use the nostril flare as a threat sign, a signal to other animals that they are all set to attack, a signal to other tribal members that they are threatened enough to really need support in humans. Emotional danger produces the same reaction. If they're mad or inflamed, a person's nostrils flare outside to indicate that something is wrong and they feel bad about it. Pursed lips. Lip movements offer some of the most trustworthy body talk signals, since they're the most unconscious. If someone purses their lips, then they make their mouth look like a purse, which, of course, was originally a drawstring bag. First, a person will purse their mouth for a kiss, specifically one given or received from a good friend with whom they are not sexually intimate, and from whom they therefore won't be expecting an open-mouthed kiss. Combined with body closeness, movements that invite contact and the half-closed eyes that indicate physical trust, a pucker is an apparent sign that a social kiss is expected. But someone will also purse their lips if they have a decision to make and are thinking things through. Then you might see that their lips move partially as they purse them, nearly as though they are chewing over the options. They may accompany this with all of the typical signs of decision-making, like a weighing movement of hands or shoulders, or a sideways head tilt. As soon as the decision is made, the lip movement stops and the mouth returns to its regular shape. And somebody could purse their lips in disapproval. Other body signs show this. The person will draw back somewhat, look down their nose, raise their eyebrows, shake their head gradually, in a really different movement from the decision tilt that accompanies attentively pursed lips. They might inhale deeply through the nose, expand the rib cage, and after that let the breath out greatly and noisily. They are most absolutely not entertained. Curled lips. The curled lips of a real sneer show the teeth. In primates, this suggests that, if needed, they will use their teeth to fight. In human beings, it shows antagonism towards somebody else, either simply through displeasure or because of anger or disgust. At times, sneering because of disgust gives a wrinkling movement of the nose along with the curl of the lip. The lower eyelid is pulled up as though to lock out the revolting sight, and the person could pull back involuntarily, or tilt their head back as though pushed back by what they're experiencing. In a mad sneer, though, an individual will open their eyes broad and jut their face forward as though to face a burglar. Their nostrils flare threateningly, and their whole body tenses, ready for action. Most sneers, in fact, combine aspects of both disgust and anger, so you could see a mix of the two feelings in the nonverbal communication. At times, a person will curl their lips as they smile, the corners of their mouth rising up at the same time as the middle of their upper lip wrinkles. While others might smile truly at something, the person with the curled lip doesn't find it funny. They are forcing a favorable response, but other more negative emotions also come through, turning the effort into a wry smile. Wide smile. Any smile is, at least on the surface, a positive indication. Primates smile when they are unthreatened. People smile when happy. The mouth curves, the corners tilt upward similarly, the lips could open wide to show the teeth in an unthreatening way. The eyes wrinkle using the orbicularis oculi, the muscle that gives you crow's feet, while the skin color often changes as the body unwinds. You'll only in some cases identify this authentic smile, however. Many people are usually expected to smile when not truly happy to assure people or show social approval. Women in particular smile no matter what's going on. If a smile is not authentic, an individual will usually show you numerous psychological signals creeping in from other parts of their face. The muscles surrounding the eyes will not wrinkle. Instead, irritation will trigger the person to gaze somewhat, or wariness will trigger them to move their look sideways. Anger might flare the nostrils or disgust tighten the jaw, and a false smile will last longer than a genuine one and fade more slowly, as if trying to convince somebody that it is for real. Legs crossed. There are tons of ways for somebody to cross their legs. Crossing legs at the knee with toes relaxed is the usual choice for women, though an uncommon one for guys to use. In some cultures, a guy's using up that position might even have his masculinity called into question. Stretching out legs and crossing them at the knee underlines length, slimness, and attractiveness, while positioning a hand lengthwise down the leg also accentuates it. You are going to see these movements most usually used by women when a potential partner is in the room. Crossing legs at the ankle is less feminine than crossing at the knee, and could be used by both genders. Stretching out in this situation gives a casual air to a person's position, particularly if they lean back in their chair. Tilting the feet back or circling around a foot is extremely informal, typically only done when with good friends or family. Crossing one leg at the knee and resting it across the other leg is a very manly posture. Women hardly ever use it, and normally only when they're relaxed and wearing pants. It's also a very confident position, using up a good deal of space and usually showing that the person ensures themselves and of their place in the group. A last intriguing element of crossed legs is the direction in which they point. The direction of the upper leg and foot can, in context, show what a person is interested in. Throughout a discussion, these body parts will often point in the direction of whoever is speaking. If the focus of a discussion switches, they will often swing to mention whoever takes the floor. And if an argument is taking place, you will usually see one foot swinging somewhat, but constantly from one speaker to the other. Legs far apart. Sitting with legs wide apart is a comfortable position. Lots of people will sit like this when they feel safe or unseen. At a dinner party, when legs are hidden by the table linen, men and women will sit like this in more or less equal numbers. But legs apart is also a very vulnerable position. Unless they feel they are physically and mentally safe, both genders naturally keep their genital areas safeguarded and hidden by closing their legs completely or crossing them at the ankle or knee. When asked to sit with legs open in public, the majority of people will try to defend themselves by placing papers on their lap or moving their by far to mask their genitals. Just because of its vulnerability, legs apart is a position most people adopt only with friends or family. You can often tell how relaxed a group is by the number who are sitting with their legs wide apart. Few people would spread their legs wide at an important business meeting or when they are with somebody they're just being familiar with. Finally, legs apart is a very positive position, usually used by those that are the leaders in a group, by men instead of women, by younger instead of older people. It takes up space, requiring others to give way. It keeps an individual well-balanced and appearing consistent in a way that the legs crossed posture doesn't. Feet curled. Simply because the feet of all body parts are the farthest away from the face, people instinctively, and typically correctly, really believe that their feet aren't watched by other individuals. So when all a person's energy is taken into hiding their emotions as exposed in their facial expression or hand gestures, you could still be able to identify their true emotions being revealed through their feet. Tense feet typically represent anxiety or nervousness. They wind around one another or around the furniture for the convenience of touch. They extend and curl to launch their stress. They will usually wriggle or kick in escape movements that show a desire to be away from a distressing circumstance. Foot tension is especially very likely to occur when a person is in a situation, such as an interview, where they feel they need to sit tight. In addition, feet, like hands and legs, can also show the source of the tension, pointing to accentuate it, or curling away as though to keep away from it. Of course, feet will also point to a person or something that's especially attractive, so causing positive bodily stress. And feet can show supremacy. Somebody who views him or herself as superior in an interaction will point their feet external, while somebody who feels inferior will point their feet inward. Feet will also betray emotion when what somebody is feeling is inflammation or anger, rather than uneasiness or anxiety. Then their feet are very likely to be sturdily tense, pressed against one another, or moving with tiny, sharp, focused kicks, rather than worried wriggles. Happy feet, alternatively, are either excited, wriggling just as though anxious, but rhythmically and with energy, or contented, relaxedly stretching and curling. It might not be going too far to suggest that, when trying to comprehend someone through body language, you should perhaps begin at the feet and work up. Chapter 3. Eye Contact. Eye contact is just one of the easiest and most powerful ways to make a person feel acknowledged, understood, and verified. The basic act of holding someone's look, whether it's a new girl, a prospective employer, or an old good friend, has the power to ignite or deepen a relationship. That is why it is so essential, and that's why it is one of the essential skills we highlight so highly at the Art of Charm. To comprehend why eye contact is so important, we need to appreciate how main it is to the human experience. As it happens, people, the only primates with white eyes, are drawn to eye contact from an early age. A 2002 research study from MIT realized that babies were far more very likely to try and follow an adult's eyes instead of just their head movements. And past the science, think about your personal experience. We study people's eyes to judge their character. We see when someone meets our look, and we're highly mindful of where our eyes roam. Eye contact is deeply rooted in our DNA. Essentially, you're reading this short article in big part since your caveman forefathers had a user-friendly proficiency of eye contact. At that time, eye contact meant the difference between life and death, attraction, and indifference. And yet the majority of people have never given any thought to how good or bad their eye contact is. If you want to become a master of eye contact, it is going to take some practice, together with a good grasp of the underlying theory. And that's the focus of this piece. 5 things every person should know about the science of eye contact, the benefits of mastering it, and how to make the most of your gaze. Eye contact can make people more resistant to persuasion. Eye contact makes you more convincing, right? Yes. However, it can also have the opposite impact. Oftentimes, people can be more resistant to persuasion when making eye contact, as researchers at the University of Freiburg, Germany found. Using the current in-eye tracking technology, Frances Chen, now an assistant professor at the University of British Columbia, and her group of researchers learned that the more eye contact subjects made with a video while they listened, the not as likely they were to believe what was being said. There are some caveats to this general rule. First, the research study included people watching videos about questionable subjects. Individuals who disagreed with the viewpoint they were listening to were not as likely to be encouraged by somebody the more eye contact they made with the speaker. This may be as phonies are scientifically proven to hold more and deliberate eye contact than people telling the truth. On the other hand, if a person already concurred with what was being said, they were very likely to concur much more if they made stable, prolonged eye contact with the speaker. In either circumstance, we can really appreciate how powerful eye contact truly is. A person's look can be a channel of truth or a barometer of lies, depending on the speaker's intent and the listener's sensitivity. Both are communicated through the eyes. The implications? For one thing, stable eye contact will help you inspire people to complete actions they have already consented to carry out. It can also convince people to be more zealous about your shared position. If you're seeking allies around the office, eye contact can be an effective tool. If you're a caretaker seeking to impart discipline and connection in your children, it can be equally reliable. At the same time, if you just feel like someone is trying to sell you on something you're not at all that interested in, then focus on making eye contact. This will make you less susceptible to a misleading sales pitch. Still, if you're even a little bit interested, but still do not want to buy, looking away could be to your advantage. More eye contact will just make you concur more. Eye contact makes your words more remarkable. If you really want people to recall what you said long after you are done talking, maintain good eye contact. That was the finding of a joint research study between the University of Wolverhampton and the University of Stirling. In this study, individuals were put on a video call with another person. Researchers learned that eye contact increased retention of what was said on the call. What's more, this didn't even require all that much eye contact. A mere 30% of time spent making eye contact added up to a substantial boost in what individuals recalled. Which means that a little eye gazing goes a long way. Making eye contact 30% of the time is not hard. That is less than 20 seconds out of each minute. If you are working on making an enduring impression or really want your coworkers to recall your words long after a meeting, then find their gaze and hold it, since memory, impression, and eye contact are deeply connected. Eye contact and movement help people notice and remember you. Eye contact alone doesn't clarify what makes your words memorable. Scientists have also found out that movement, when paired with eye contact, has an extensive effect. Two scientists working out of Radboud University and Rutgers University did the first research on eye contact and movement. What they found is that eye contact, paired with an abrupt movement, such as an out-of-nowhere hand movement or a turn of the head while you make eye contact, makes people both more remarkable and more noticeable. Changing your direction and making eye contact will help you make an even stronger impression. All you need to do is turn your head, move your hand onto the bar, or concentrate on strong body language as you make eye contact. That in turn will make you more obvious and memorable. Eye contact makes many people more honest. Paradoxically, phonies make more eye contact than truth-tellers, but eye contact tends to make people more honest when challenged. That is exactly what researchers at Tufts University found when they left a scent in a phone cubicle and had complete strangers' techniques saying the scent is their own. When eye contact was made, the ones who had just found a dime in the phone cubicle were much more very likely to return it. This phenomenon shows the olden eyes as windows of the soul principle. You know rationally that somebody can't read your mind by looking into your eyes, and yet you intuitively know that eye contact makes it not as likely that you will get away with lying. Our eyes give away way more about our internal procedures than we might like. If you're dealing with someone you think is shady, holding eye contact can be an easy way to keep them honest. Even if you're dealing with a person who is not deliberately trying to trick you, eye contact can still be a power tool. Think, for instance, about trying to buy a car. Your eye contact keeping the seller truthful can help you to get vital info about the history of the car, or get them to offer you a more reasonable starting figure. Whatever the scenario, remember the following. Eye contact is basically connected to our perceptions of truth and honesty. Eye contact makes you more self-aware. French scientists at the University of Paris learned that people are even more self-aware, defined as being more or less familiar with what's going on with one's physical body, when another person makes eye contact than when they're not. The scientists actually believe that we be more focused on ourselves and familiar with our behavior when others are looking at us. There is a thin line between self-awareness and self-consciousness, but understanding this phenomenon can help you make the most of it. In the company of other people in a meeting, at a party, on a date, you may find that someone's eye contact makes you more susceptible to your own thoughts, emotions, and habits. And when you see that happening, you can check in with yourself and give a little bit of thought to the impression you are making. That is where self-consciousness, heightened by eye contact, can actually work for you. You can also use your eye contact to increase self-awareness in others. I definitely wouldn't advise anybody to bully somebody with eye contact. But what about preserving eye contact with a woman you're really interacting with? That cool, worried butterflies feeling can be a ton of fun. When you maintain eye contact with her, heightening her self-awareness at the same time, you are giving her a little gift. You're enabling her to enjoy that feeling much more, and you are communicating certain important things: that you are listening, that you're focused, and that you want her to enjoy the present moment with you. You're also doing something necessary, because eye contact produces and deepens attraction. Keep holding on to your hats, gents. What I'm about to tell you're going to make you really love eye contact. Eye contact will make people like you? Since according to research, holding someone's look has been proven to create attraction. And while you may know that a winning smile is a great way to appear attractive, putting direct eye contact behind that winning smile is your best option, says one study performed by Aberdeen University in Scotland. It appears that looking straight at someone does most of the work in creating attraction, and dramatically enhances other habits like smiling, touching, and listening. What's more, smiling while making eye contact has the most power when speaking with women, according to the scientists. What we've revealed is that people seem to like someone who likes them based upon the direction of their look, and it is specifically true of the opposite sex. My emphasis. Having said that, while it may be more powerful with women, it will also have an impact when you're meeting new people at work, networking, or making good friends in a new city. Eye contact is universal. So, whether you're hustling to meet new people or attempting to deepen a connection you already have, smile big, make eye contact, and go straight after what you want. It won't always be easy, but it's the best strategy you have. Eye contact can even make you fall in love. Love at first sight is apparently a very real thing, but here's the offer. It only works on your end. Scientists using hidden electronic cameras realized that guys who looked at lady for 8.2 seconds or more were even more very likely to just feel like they had fallen in love at first sight. On the other hand, if a man looked at the woman for 4.5 seconds or less, he was very likely to not have any interest in her at all. There's just one problem. The women didn't reciprocate the men's amorous feeling. It was all in the man's head. The lesson here's the eye contact can be effective, but not always mutual, and when it comes to this study, not always trustworthy. As our gaze can create an exceptionally effective experience, sometimes only for ourselves, it's easy to predict those emotions onto its items. Know that, and resist the gut feeling that you've fallen in love before she even opens her mouth. Eye contact is a powerful attractor and opening essential, but there's a human to be familiar with on the other side. So what does this mean? Eye contact is an exceptionally effective capability that produces better connections, keeps people truthful, and normally enriches relationships. With a little bit of practice, you can be a master of this important skill. They say the eyes are the entrance to the soul. When it was said, they were describing us human beings. The essence of eye contact. Eye contact is one of the most important nonverbal channels you have for interacting and getting in touch with others. Described as a meeting of the eyes between two people, expresses significant nonverbal communication. Contact that takes place when two people look directly at one another, or when two people or animals look into one another's eye at the same time. It is the condition or action of looking another human or animal in the eye. When one experiences eye contact with another person, it can trigger them to feel acknowledged, appreciated, and important. And yet when this doesn't happen, one can wind up feeling neglected, insulted, and unimportant. Eye contact could be seen as something that is fairly simple and easy and takes really little energy to use. It does not cost anything, and one is unlikely to run out of energy through it. But while it can be easy to do, and the effect it has can be monumental, it doesn't mean that everybody utilizes this power in their life. This can mean that not only do other people lose out on what they would have experienced from keeping eye contact, but one will also lose out from how others would respond to them if they had experienced it. Trust. To get eye contact from somebody can create the impression that they're credible. Of course, people can have really good eye contact and still have something about them that makes one wonder if they can be trusted. So it isn't every little thing, but it is going to play a huge role in if one thinks a person can be trusted or not. One can wind up feeling more at ease and much safer through it existing. Without it, one can appear shifty and misleading. It could be due to shyness or low self-confidence, but this is typically neglected and labeled as one being impolite or even ignorant. Connection. And as it can result in trust being formed, thus means that it will play a big part in how linked one feels to another. When one talks with someone and eye contact is there, everyone can come to the conclusion that they matter, and they could even wind up feeling special just because of it. The lack of this is going to stop one person from having the ability to feel linked to the other person. Maybe they're a bit shy or have something to hide, but with these presumptions aside, one is going to feel that they can't quite connect to them. And unless one has the desire to dig deeper and figure it out, it may well mean that this person is neglected and not given the chance to clarify why they are a lot like they are. So, if someone has bad eye contact, they will have lost a possible good friend, lover, or client, for instance. First impressions. Once a first impression has been formed, it is often far too late for one to change it. And this is why it is crucial that one has good eye contact from the beginning of an interaction. To not look at a person in a store is not likely to develop a lot of issues. As humans, we can wind up feeling exhausted or exhausted after a long day, or as a result of a particular obstacle in our life. So there will be moments when eye contact does not happen. This is understandable, and it isn't something that one should feel bad about. However, what matters is that one typically gets it right around their friends, family, potential lovers or partners, or in a company setting, for example. This is when it truly matters. Different approaches. There is naturally going to be distinctions in how one uses eye contact around different people. When it comes to friends or family, one may well have a fairly well-balanced method. So taking a look at them for a fairly brief time and after that averting. Eye contact won't be held for too long, but it won't end too soon either. If one was speaking with a person in a store or on the street, eye contact might not be kept for as long. To keep it there for as long as one might do with their friends or family could give off the wrong impression, and all because the comfort and familiarity haven't been developed. And after that, there is going to be a different degree of eye contact when one is talking to their partner, lover, or somebody who they want to be more than just friends with. In this context, keeping eye contact can allow attraction to develop, or to be preserved, or for one to be able to take things further. Avoidance. There can be times when eye contact can be unsafe, and staying away from it completely is the best possible choice. If some sort of violence or criminal activity is taking place, and one takes a look at the person or people who are committing it, it could cause them to be upset and much more hostile. So staying away from it could save one from being injured or mugged, or perhaps from losing their life. This connects to what could be a severe example for some people and a fairly routine event for others. Action. Discernment is thus crucial in understanding when to use it and for just how long. And if one is uninformed as to how or when to use eye contact, then observing others can make a huge difference. And there are now many books out there on this topic, and videos and audios. One can begin to look at people for longer at the time of certain circumstances. Nonetheless, If maintaining eye contact is frustrating for someone, then it may be necessary to look at what's happening at a much deeper level. This has been Body Language: How Eye Contact and Nonverbal Cues Help You Analyze People. Written by John Adamson. Narrated by Rory Young.